It's funny because you just heard it, right? The intro to the show. We start every day. The first clip you hear is Bryce Young being picked number 1 by the Carolina Panthers. And it's hard to almost go back in time. That wasn't that long ago. But there was a point in time in the lead up to the draft where betting odds and even some public perception was swinging towards C.J. Stroud as the number 1 pick, or Anthony Richardson, or Will Levis. Looking back, it feels like it was Bryce Young and always Bryce Young, but there were moments where C.J. Stroud threw his name in the hat, right? Well, after his preseason, C.J. Stroud's preseason debut last night, it has never been more obvious that the Panthers made the right decision taking Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud. And that is absolutely no chance, 0% chance that that's an overreaction to one preseason game in 4 attempts, right? Not even 4 attempts. What was it? 2 for 3 or 2 for 4?
2 for 3, like 13 to 15 yards.
Yep, 13 yards. An interception on the first drive.
Yep.
But instead of overreacting to that, you could just say it does kind of lower the bar for Bryce Young this weekend, right?
Or raises it.
I don't know.
Because, here's the thing that me and Paul were talking about off the air. Now you don't want to get into a whole, if Bryce Young throws a pick, he's just as bad as C.J. Stroud. The two top picks in the league were washes, and that's obviously not true. It's preseason, but still, I feel like now this doesn't put more pressure on Bryce Young, but obviously Bryce Young turns the ball over once, everybody's going to lose their minds.
Yes, but he'll have somebody to share it with, right? If he throws an interception on the first drive, it's not, oh my gosh, Bryce Young is terrible. It's, oh my gosh, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud are terrible, right? And if you just get a field goal on your first drive or don't throw an interception on your first drive,
you just score.
It's hey, look at this, not as bad as C.J. Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN analyst, former front office executive with the Jets and Dolphins. Well, he's making some observations about what C.J. Stroud did last night.
The speed of the game was just too fast for C.J. Stroud. That's the bad news. The good news is that game can slow down based on time and experience, but be it the sack or certainly the interception, he was just late in decision making. He was late with his tempo. Even on the sack here, you could just see that he wasn't prepared for these defensive linemen to be on him so quickly. This is very normal for a rookie quarterback. And if you're Houston, you're fortunate that this happened in a preseason game, not in a regular season game.
Here's the thing. Forever and ever and ever, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud are going to be linked, right? Just like any other quarterbacks that were taken number 1 and number 2. Andrew Luck and RG3, Jameis and Mariota, right? They're always going to be linked and compared. It just happens. The Patriots might be the worst team to debut against, right? So if they're going to be linked, you have to look at the context. It's not just C.J. Stroud had 13 yards passing, 8 of them came on his first completion, and the rest was really ugly. Like, that's not just what it is. The Patriots, their defense is notoriously confusing, right? Most teams stay very vanilla in the preseason, right? They want to see players play. They want to see them be instinctual, so they try not to make it too much of a thinking man's game. Also, they don't want to show regular season opponents what their defense is going to look like in the regular season, so they just keep it very plain. The Patriots, like, very vanilla for them is still very confusing.
Yeah.
Because they are the definition of, and always have been under Belichick, of we are very game plan specific, right? They don't have a system. They change things. They adjust things. They disguise things. So it's bad luck for C.J. Stroud that's who he was up against first. But it doesn't change the first impression. And first impressions, they do matter, right? Especially because the thing C.J. Stroud the thing people were concerned about with C.J. Stroud was just that, processing, high-level football recognition, high-level football IQ. Remember the whole S2 test that he didn't do very well on?
The SAT of football, apparently.
But it's like half video game, half reaction test, half Wonderlic. It's this new S2 test, and he didn't do well on it, right? Where it was like an 18% or something like that. And then, of course, the Ohio State thing, which is Ryan Day's offense is so quarterback friendly that you don't have to make a lot of quick decisions. You kind of know and find wide open wide receivers very early. So the question for CJ Stroud was, can he compute at a high level? Then he goes right into his first preseason game and is dealt the Patriots, which is bad luck, and he makes a couple bad decisions while computing quickly, and his offensive line isn't helping. They're letting pressure through, so he has to speed up his computing ability even more. Tough one. One game, tough one.
I was also going to say, nothing against the Texans. They certainly don't have the worst offensive line in the league this year, but it's certainly not the best. I would rather take my chances with Zavala and Ike Ekwonu on my offensive line if I'm Bryce Young than anybody on the Texas offensive line right now.
So there's two more points I want to make here, and one of them has to do with what you just said. The CJ Stroud issue was computing, and until he proves that is not an issue, it's going to be a concern, right? So Houston Texans fans are nervous. I don't think you should be smashing the panic button, but the thing that you were concerned about hasn't been proven to be incorrect yet, right? Bryce Young, what is the thing? The thing is his size. The thing is he is small, right? If you stand next to him, he looks much smaller than you would expect an NFL quarterback to look like. So he has to start from preseason game 1, proving that's not an issue. What that means is, if 3 of his first 4 passes are tipped at the line or something like that, Carolina Panthers fans are going to be standing right next to Texans fans being concerned. However, if he's maneuvering in the pocket, making the throws, and it doesn't appear to be an issue, you can start kind of dissolving those fears. The other thing is exactly what Graham referenced. The Texans' offensive line is not the worst in the league. However, they did not play many starters on the offensive line last night. I would make it a rule. If my starting quarterback is out there, everyone that is healthy on the starting lineup is out there. Because you don't want, as much as it's one preseason game, and trust me, I hear you, it's one preseason game. And he played, 2 drives, right? As much as I understand that is nothing, it is something, right? It's a first impression. It's part of his audition. It's you still haven't named him the week 1 starter. It does mean something, and you didn't give him every opportunity to be successful because you had a lot of backups up front, and those guys were getting manhandled by the Patriots.
And Tim, as someone who played quarterback, I hope you can agree, it makes you comfortable in the pocket already.
Well, yes, and it's, you wanted to, and maybe this is a flaw of mine, right? I didn't make it to the NFL, played in college. When you know somebody is matched up, say the one read is to the right, or you assume, pre-snap it looks like it's going to be zone, and if it's zone, you have your zone beaters to the right. You as a right-handed quarterback, you got to trust that left tackle to protect your blind side. You just trust him, right? Hey, I trust you. In the NFL, there's such a big difference between a starting left tackle and a backup left tackle. It's how much do you trust him, right? Do you take the time to find the right read? Do you trust him to take the time, or are you looking over there going, I better get rid of this thing quick? Or is your internal alarm clock going off too fast? So Panthers, learn from what happened last night with CJ Stroud. If you're going to have Bryce Young in there, you're going to have him trying to execute high-level reads, make sure the starters are out there with him. Because it's nothing. It's one preseason game. But just don't make it a distraction. Don't make the conversations we're having right now about CJ Stroud be the questions we're having on Monday about Bryce Young. Give him an opportunity to be successful.